Welcome back to WhoDooTV. I'm Hoosier. Today we're bringing you another Image Expo 2018 press conference video. This one is The Weatherman. It's coming out in June. It's by Jody, Leheup, and Nathan Fox. It looks pretty good, sounds pretty great. Enjoy this video.
You are now watching WhoDooTV.
Yeah, so The Weatherman takes place in the far future. Billions of people live on Mars. This is a world where humanity has begun to colonize the solar system, and Mars is sort of like a sister planet to Earth, or at least it was, until 99% of Earth's population was wiped out by the worst terrorist attack in human history. So our story takes place 7 years after that attack. The people of Mars are still reeling from the loss of so many of their people and their home planet, and still dealing with the fear of a second attack, and also their anger over the fact that the people responsible are still out there. So it's a society, it's a culture where people are desperate for someone to blame. Then we're introduced to Nathan Bright, one of our protagonists of the story. Nathan is a good guy living the good life on terraform Mars in a Martian city of Red Bay, Arcadia. He's got a great girlfriend, he's got a kick-ass dog, and a job as the #1 weatherman in the city. Nathan loves what he does because he gets to put smiles on people's faces. He's very unorthodox style as a weatherman. He's very animated and fun, funny, delightful guy. But making people happy and feel joy again is very important in this world, especially now. So no one is more surprised when seemingly out of nowhere he is accused of masterminding this horrible attack on Earth. And immediately it's like, well, how is that possible? Like, this guy is not, he's not a terrorist, he's a weatherman. So immediately we have these questions of like, how can this, noodle bowl eating, golden retriever owning, bad cocktail making local weatherman be responsible for something like this? Is he responsible? And more importantly, why can't he remember? So these are questions that are going to be driving our narrative in a very big way, and then go careening off a cliff when you run into get some of the answers, and things get even crazier and fun and not fun. So Nathan is not really built for life as the galaxy's most wanted. Not built for life on the run by any stretch, and that's part of the fun of our story, is him seeming like being in the situation of like, hey, I didn't do any of this, but maybe he did. So anyway, this sort of sets him off. He finds himself like the center of a manhunt, and he is forced onto a quest to find the truth. And in the process, hopefully discover the key to stopping a second mass attack. So The Weatherman is it's a big concept, widescreen, epic science fiction, dynamic action, heartfelt humor, colorful characters. But at its core, it's a story of how we deal with trauma, the damage we do in the name of justice, and the true meaning of redemption. I'm writing the book. Nathan Fox is doing some of the most amazing comic book art I have ever seen in my life on the book. We're joined by colorist Dave Stewart, who's a legend. You all know who Dave is. Designer Tom Muller, letterer Steve Wands, and editor Sebastian Gerner, and we're thrilled also to be announcing today that both Nathan Fox and Marcos Martin will both be doing covers for the first arc. The book comes out in June 2018, and it is so awesome. Did I leave anything out?
You can follow us at
WM_comic on Instagram and Twitter to get updates.
Yeah,
Art,
exclusive
behind
art,
the scenes.
behind the scenes looks.
And add us with any questions and comments.
Questions, comments, let us know.
Other than that, everything you said, which was fantastic.
Great. I think so. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I should really work on this book with you.
You should.
Yeah.
I think you should.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. It's one of the most exciting, challenging, fun, crazy stories I think I've ever had the honor of working on.
It's intense, it's harrowing, but there are moments of levity here and there to balance things out. And there's really not a lot out there actually like this book. It's a pretty unique voice, and I can't wait for people to read it.
Yeah.
So sci-fi is part of the genre. Is there more genre to it? Is there going to be comedy or is it drama?
Well, so it's an interesting book because it's kind of it's sort of like Korean cinema. I don't know if you've seen it in the sense that they kind of dip in and out of tones. You know what I mean? Where like there'll be these sort of comedic moments in the middle of like, a crime procedural, you know what I mean, or a horror movie or whatever it is. And I always loved that. So it's not really one thing or the other. It kind of moves in these different worlds and has these kind of moments that just kind of balance things out is the best way I know how to describe it. So I mean, I would squarely put this in the science fiction, action, sort of thriller camp with enough comedy and lighter moments and heartfelt moments, emotional stuff going on to keep things buoyant and high energy and grounded in humanity. Yeah.
There's a lot going on to the point where nobody's safe. The best situations, like you don't stay in the same place, otherwise you will die, right? And I mean, they are literally on the move to find out.
Yeah.
A ton of answers.
There's a lot of forward motion.
Yeah, and discovering a lot along the way.
Go.
Yeah, and the world becomes part of it. I mean, it really is an exploration into these larger themes, but it's through these main characters and the other cast that comes in and out.
For sure, like a lot of, not to interrupt, excuse me.
No, go for it.
But a lot of science fiction becomes so much about the world and the high concept. And there's a lot of that here. It's a very rich world, but it's very much grounded in the humanity of the characters. It'll always come back to the humanity and our fallibility and our, us, projecting anger as a result of pain and how we are very bad at processing that.
And the decisions we make and the lengths we will and will not go to find those answers or to satisfy certain needs or urges, let alone revenge, redemption, relationships, humankind.
Yeah, and also the process of trying to make the world, because as people, we get angry because we're feeling pain, and we try to go out and force the pieces into place and make the world make sense, but then we're just creating another cycle of pain for someone else. And so that's, I think, part of this also.
And I think, too, like it breathes as well, like I think you were alluding to before. So there's plenty of quiet moments, there's plenty of action, there's plenty of everything, but it really is there to help serve the purpose of the story and really move it forward as they kind of discover this journey. Yeah, so each arc, especially all the places we're taking it and the things that are in there, that really allows for a lot of freedom, and especially when it comes to visualizing it. I mean, it's been awesomely amazing to develop this over the last couple of years and really get this thing to a place where the audience, hopefully, and I guess that's kind of how we're approaching it, really has an opportunity to expand and immerse themselves in the world as the characters move through it. And a lot of it happens really fast, but it feels like it flows. Yeah. As much as the story and the relationships do.
There's another character we could talk about as well who plays a huge role in the book. It's basically a co-protagonist we'll be introduced to in issues 1 and 2, named Amanda Cross. She's an intelligence operative who's assigned to building the case against this Nathan Bright character. And obviously, she believes very strongly that he is responsible for this horrific crime, and given in a world where literally everyone is somehow touched by this great loss, she has an enormous amount of anger and hatred towards him. So due to events in the story, which we'll discover, they sort of find themselves cut off and on the run together, metaphorically handcuffed, while they are both in search of what happened. And Nathan plays a critical role in so much of how things resolve, but the actual pursuit of the truth and figuring out how to stop this from happening again. But that relationship between those two characters, this person who is accused of committing this terrible crime but doesn't remember having done it, and in the day-to-day hanging out with him is just kind of like, hey, I'm just a guy. I didn't do that. You know what I mean? And then the person who just would love to just put a bullet in his head but can't do it because he is critical to her solving her mission, and they're just like stuck, right? And they have to move through this world and this environment on this journey together to try to unpack it all and understand, and things get crazy.
How long do you guys have this story going for?
It's going to be 3 arcs over 3 years, about 6 issues an arc.
Of varying page lengths.
Yep.
So it's not your standard 20 or 22.
Yeah, we might go over here and there depending on what the story calls for. But coming out in June 2018. So, a very different book than Shirtless Bear Fighter. No, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm thrilled about it.
Yeah.
So our whole team is pumped. So it's great to finally get it out there and be able to talk about it because it's a bigger project.
And how has you two working together been coming together?
Atrocious.
It's been awful.
It's been amazing. As soon as we started talking about.
Oh yeah, it was instant.
Yeah, it was immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both wanted to build something, put our everything into a thing that we, could publish through Image, something that we had stake in, that we could take our time to do right, that, there wasn't a third party or someone else telling us that we could or couldn't do certain things, that this was too engaging or too challenging or not something else enough or whatever it is. It's a special project for both of us, personal for both of us. We needed to be built a certain way, and we immediately connected on those goals. And Nathan connected on the story and the world and the characters, and I've just been a fan of Nathan's work for years. So I was instant for me. I actually, wrote the book with his art in mind. So the fact that we were able to make it work was a huge for me. You know what I mean? So. And then Nathan, bought in and is on that same wavelength too. And so now we're just taking off like a rocket in this, and it's great.
Hey, thanks for watching. I want to thank Jody and Nathan for taking the time to talk with us about The Weatherman. It's coming out in June, so make sure it's on your pull list. Also, make sure you're subscribing to us at WhoDooTV and follow us on Twitter at WhoDooTV. We also want to thank our friends over at Outright Geekery. Check them out for all things geeky.